Hello everyone! Welcome back to yet another Moonshire Monday in 2025. It's another year. Whole another year. A whole another set of Moonshire Mondays. Sorry for being 5 minutes late. But still have not missed a Monday for like 4 or 5 months. Hello everyone! We got Blocks, Kurikai, or sorry, it's hard to read that actually. Ethan likes FNF, FNAF, nice. Setsuna, Soru. Let's see, a lot of people were actually in chat before even starting. Angry Barnacle, Bub. Welcome in. Adele, Ray Vitez, Blank Soul, Vanessa T. Hi! Thank you so much for being here, I really appreciate that. At a new time too. I decided to change the time from 9 a.m. CT, doing it a little bit later at 11 a.m. CT. And I'm doing that because it gives me a little bit more flexibility for the length, because I always had to cut the stream short because I would get too hungry. But I already ate lunch. So I am fully fed and ready to go. Ready to do some Moonshire Monday stuff. One update, if you look really closely at the sunflower, I finally animated it. Someone was here a while ago that was talking about how they wished the sunflower was animated like the rest of the plants, and I finally did it. And you can interact with it a bit too if you touch it, like moves. But it's really subtle. It's really subtle. You get water. Oh, I don't have water. I'm gonna have to go get water in a minute. But I just started, so I don't want to get up. I'll get up in just a moment to go get it. It looks good. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate that. Vixie thought I had missed a live. Thank goodness you changed the time. Yeah, it's a new year, so I'm trying out a new schedule for that sort of stuff. The update didn't come yet. I know, I missed my deadline. Yet again. I'm working on a video. I wrote the script, and I'm gonna be filming tomorrow a new video for probably Thursday or Friday. It's gonna be discussing why things have been taking so long, and specifically like what progress has been made in that time, because it's been it's been over half a year. It's been over half a year since the last update to the Steam demo, and that's getting up there. That's a while. New video, yeah, thanks. My videos are nice. So I'm actually trying out a new format with this one. I'm gonna be using a bit more like IRL footage of myself talking. So, because before what I would do is I would write the script, and then I would do the voiceover, and then all of the visuals in the video were just like footage of the game. But I think that it'll be better if I mix in like my own talking points with like IRL footage. I think that'll be helpul to add variety. Pippa, hi, welcome. Another vid finally. I know I've been so bad. Well, the problem is I get hyper fixated on one aspect of the game, and in my case, I just kept fixating so much on level design and figuring out what the layout of the game is gonna be. Curious, welcome in. Appreciate that. You have cool vids, thank you. Yeah, the problem was I like developing games a lot more than I like making videos, is my problem. I love streaming though, so I'm surprised at how much I enjoy streaming. Going into this, I really thought that it wasn't for me, just because I had a problem stuttering so much, and I still kind of do, but streaming has helped me a lot with overcoming that. Are all the streams going to be at this time, or is it just this one? This time fits way better for you. I'm planning to keep it this way, unless there's a problem with it. I'm planning to stick with this time. Just because, so I liked 9 a.m. CT just because that gets my day started, and then I can move on with my day and do other stuff. But the problem is, 9 a.m. CT is, that is very early for, like, the West Coast. People in California or Seattle or something like that. It's like 7 a.m. there at 9 a.m. my time. Let's see. In my opinion, your streams really value my day. Awesome, I appreciate that. That's so nice. Creating a video is boring, right? The result is cool. I don't think that that creating the video is boring. It's just tedious. Or I should say, I like the script writing process. So I really just like talking. I like talking about my game. I can talk endlessly about my game and talk endlessly about any specific aspect of it. It's just that fun to me. So writing the script is great, but when I have to go and record footage of the game, like you'd be surprised at how much time it takes for me to record like a little boss fight or just me moving around the game and doing one of these encounters. The reason it takes so long is because I'm so obsessed with keeping like all the footage showing the game in the best light. Because there's always going to be little quirks or something that's still in development. And I try not to show that stuff in the videos, but then as I play and I record stuff, I always just record bugs or I make a mistake or something looks awkward, and I just get so embarrassed that I have to re-record it, and it takes me so long. It is so ridiculous how much time I spend on that stuff. Is there a time system in Moonshire? I don't think I'm going to be putting something like that. Because it just puts pressure on the player. I like the low stress, no time limits or anything like that. Thanks for being considerate of the Californians. Yeah, no problem. Well, I used to live in Seattle, so it would be an inconvenient time for me there, and I figured that would probably be a good thing to change. Have I played Balatro? I have. Yeah, so I have it on Steam. Actually, I think I can. Balatro. I got 15 hours in that, so not too much, but I did beat it. I beat a full run of it. I love Balatro. It is so cool. I really, really love this game. But, and I'm glad that it exists because it's using the same game engine that I'm using. Okay, so hire someone to play your version for videos. Well, and I plan on doing that. I'm working on finding someone local to help me with that sort of stuff. But at the same time, I think that I just needed to freshen up the format, which this new video, it feels a lot better. I still haven't beaten it, got to M5 at most. Yeah, it's really, I got lucky. I almost lost in the very, very last round just because if you get a bad hand or you just get unlucky, Borger, hi, welcome in. Would be better if there's a day and night system. Well, it depends because a day and night system, even that is like a time limit of sorts. Because if there are things that only happen at night, then like you have that slight pressure to get things done quickly or get things done. You have that time pressure because it's gonna be day soon or whatever. Will you try porting the game to other consoles? Yeah, I'd love to try that. But PC and Mac or like anything on computer, that's generally going to be a lot easier to develop for than a console or mobile too. I would like to do mobile. I've been thinking more about that, and I think the game would work nicely on mobile. Excuse me, and I know how to do it, so I think that would work out nicely. Allfather, could you give me a recommendation? A game recommendation? Yeah, absolutely. Jeez, sorry, I'm stuttering. Yeah, I'm always interested in game recommendations, because I've just been so picky on games. I'm so critical of games now. That kind of goes off screen. How do you store persistent data on your game? Like, where you stop playing? Yeah, that's a good question. So when you say persistent data, do you mean between play sessions? Where you last stopped playing? So yes, I think you do mean between play sessions. So a lot of that happens in the save data. So if I go to, I have a file that I have called data.lua. I'll zoom this in too. Kyle, have I played Tunic? Yes, I love Tunic. I love Tunic. Tunic is so cool because of the Golden Path and the trick with the manual. And I actually came close to quitting the game before figuring that out. And I'm so glad that I stuck it out because that's one of the coolest puzzles ever made in any game ever. It's so, so cool. And I don't want to spoil it because just go play it. It's amazing. You'll know what I mean once you figure it out. It really blew my mind how good that trick was. Brother planning to release the game this year? I would like to, and I still think I can, but it would be towards the end of the year just because everything's taking longer than I originally thought it would take. That's classic case. Oh, and I was talking about persistent data. So Whenever the game saves, or it keeps track of anything that is persistent, like you were talking about. Anything that's persistent is stored here in this table called data. And I have it separated into specific data files too, just for organization. But essentially all this stuff does go into data. And anything that's persistent, like all of the key items that I've found, all of the dyes that I've found, all of the resources I've collected, all of the weapons that I've picked up, all that stuff gets stored somewhere in this data folder, or in this data file. And then when the game saves, it just it literally saves it to a text file. And actually it's a Lua file, but it looks like this. It's just a bunch of, I'm sorry I can't zoom it in here, maybe I can actually. There we go. So we can see like 1 assist. All of these files are save data files. So I can open up, like, let's say items, and then if we take a look at this file, it shows all the weapons that I've picked up, it shows all the dyes that I've collected, it shows which key items I've found. And yeah, and then when the game starts up again, it just loads all this data back into that data folder, or that data like table, I should say, and it goes from there. So I hope that answered that question. How did you make your channel popular, and how do you think other people can do devlogs? My biggest thing is to make sure that every moment of your videos are entertaining. And that's a tricky thing to do. It means cutting out a lot of stuff. So when I write a script and I make a video, the script is always so much longer than what the final video ends up being, because I'll start producing, maybe it'll be like 7 minutes long. But then I'll notice while I'm watching that there's a part in the video where it kind of goes into a lull, where what I'm saying doesn't really matter, or it's not interesting, or I'm kind of just repeating myself. I just cut it out. There are whole sections of my videos where I just get rid of it because it's not good. It's not interesting. The thing about YouTube is that your videos are competing with literally every single other video on the platform, and if your content isn't super engaging, then people are just gonna go watch something else. So that's why my logic is just work on making high quality content, and that's difficult, especially when you're starting out. Just post stuff. It might not be super good at first, but every video that you make is going to be a little bit better over time. And over time, you'll also pick up on the little nuances that make videos better and what performs better than other videos. Really, that's the part that I'm at. I'm trying to learn the algorithm because I have not been paying attention to that stuff at all. I've just been focusing on making sure that my videos are consistently entertaining and provide value the whole way through. Otherwise, I just figure people are going to click off, because that's what I do. If I'm watching a video and it starts off engaging but then it kind of drops off, I normally click off. And I want people to see that I post a video, and I want them to know that it's going to be worth their time to click on it and watch it, because I feel like I say interesting and useful stuff in my videos. Is the save file still going to be human readable in the final version? I think so. I've gotten mixed opinions on that. I personally think it's fine to keep the save file human readable, because then people can modify it and have fun with it if they want to. And you know, I could see someone saying that's not good, like people shouldn't be able to break the integrity of the game. But at the same time, even if I did encode it or somehow obfuscate it, I feel like people would find a way to do it anyway. And I don't know, the integrity of the game is still it's still kind of the same between those two situations. The song playing was cringe. I can't remember what it was. Oh wait, was it Able Sisters? I don't think it's cringe. I love that game. Afternoon, Chalcade in chat. Welcome in, Rescue Squad Culp. You can add thunder and rain. I think I have one section. Oh, there's a section I'm working on that has rain. Let's see. So I think that this is in C1. I think I can just go here. But this map is not finished at all. It's like barely started, actually. So actually, let's just go behind the waterfall. Wow, it's really dark. It's hard to see, but it is raining. It's hard to see because there's no detail, and there's no walls, there's no collisions. This map is completely, like, not even started. Do people calling out Team Cherry for Silksong not know how long it takes to develop games? I think that people understand that it takes a long time to make games, but, you know, that Silksong trailer came out a long time ago. Like, let's be real. Let's see, when did that Silksong trailer come out? I'm gonna look it up right now. Silksong trailer. It was over 5 years ago. No. Yeah, it looks like it was over 5 years ago. So, I think that, a trailer being released 5 years ago, and then radio silence after that, that's a little bit weird. I do wish that they would say something, anything, about the game, just to give us, just to keep it in the, fresh in our minds. But also, I don't think they need to. Hollow Knight was so high profile, and still is. Like, everyone still loves Hollow Knight. They don't really need to post more stuff about it. People are gonna buy Silksong as soon as it's ready. They're more concerned about making sure it's perfect. Like, this is a magnum opus for them. The Hollow Knight wasn't a magnum opus for them. I can't believe how good that game is. So yeah, I think that's the other thing, is that they're so high that they're impossibly high almost. I'm currently working on a game jam doing boss rush and stuff. I'm struggling how to structure and plan the game. You know the core mechanics, I just don't know how to plan the progression. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, and that's the problem that I have with my game too. Or I should say, I spent a crazy amount of time thinking about that stuff and reworking that stuff. And I'm going to talk about that in the video this week, about how much time I spent redoing the same content over and over again because I just changed the progression of what stuff I wanted to introduce. Because for my game specifically, there's a few things that I need to teach the player. First, there is this concept of walking and moving around. Then I need to teach them how to attack. And I do that all right here in this little area. It tells you move, and you can attack stuff, and like it gives you some stuff to hit. And that's a little tutorial for how to move, okay? So that's the first piece of progression. Then the next piece of progression is they need to learn how to take damage. They need to learn how to swim. I need to teach them how to pick up weapons. I need to teach them how to save. I need to teach them... So there's all these different abilities. And the tricky part is I have all this stuff I need to have all the stuff that I need to teach the player. But if I teach them too much stuff, it's going to overwhelm them. There's going to be way too much stuff for them to like keep in mind as they're playing. And stuff like this. I teach them how to dodge, specifically here. And I force them to dodge, actually, because if you want to get through this, you have to dodge over the spikes. Otherwise, like, you get hurt. How did I get my PC? I just ordered it from Dell, it looks like. But also, I put a bunch of custom parts in it, too. So it's a Ship of Theseus. I think that's what you call it. The best way to learn pixel art or any kind of art is just to try over again. Yeah, that's also how I feel. Because I started off making games with GameMaker with just the sprite editor, and man, it was so bad at first because I was young and I was new to it. But every game that I make got a little bit better. Every game that I made back then and still make. Like my game now looks so much better than how my game looked a year ago. It looks way better. I'm still learning and getting better at pixel art and getting better at like effects and shaders and anything that makes the game look better. This is a very appropriate song for this area. It's a nice vibe. Do you have any advice on the planning? No. My advice is don't spend too much time planning. My advice is actually don't plan. It's to just make stuff. It's just make your game, because you can plan all you want. You can plan a perfect plan, and it could be awesome. But you're gonna learn once you start developing it that your plan isn't right. Unfortunately, I learned that firsthand. I keep planning things out on paper. You should see how many notebooks I've gone through with just like sketches or stuff on my iPad where I'm just like drawing out plans for something. And then how much time I spend taking those ideas and then just trying them, iterating on them, or I'll put them in the game and then I'll realize after playing it for a while, maybe that idea, maybe that plan wasn't quite right. And then when you change the progression of like one aspect of the game, that changes everything. If the order is very important and then suddenly like the second thing in the order needs to be moved to the last, well, that changes a lot. And it becomes a huge pain in the butt to reaccount for that. I mean, how do you get the money for a PC? Well, I mean, I had a job. So the answer to your question of how to get money is always going to be a job. If you're young, I know that's difficult, and my only advice is just to save as much as you can. But how many games have I made? A lot of small games. I had a YouTube channel before this one where I showed off some old Game Maker games, and I haven't talked about that. I haven't shown that publicly yet, but I'll go ahead and share that soon. I promise. I really want to show that off because it's funny. I have videos from when I was 13, and I'm doing game development stuff with Game Maker, and I'm doing voiceover too. And you can hear my little 13-year-old self going, yes, hi, this is Kyle, and I'm here to teach you. It's very funny, but I can't show it yet. I'm saving it for the right time. I spent a decent amount of time doing some loose planning, but at the end of the day, I still have no idea how to code, and I need to spend my time there instead of planning. Well, the thing about planning is that it's fun. It's just fun to plan things. I get stuck in that too, where like thinking and fantasizing about your game is so fun because if you can experience it in your mind, you can feel you get that. And there is some value to designing things on paper. There is some value to thinking about things. I think about things all the time. But yeah, the actual practical act of creating something. If you say that coding is something you need to work on, then yeah, I'm with you. Spending your time coding is going to be more productive than spending your time thinking. But thinking is still a good exercise. It's still good for coming up with new ideas and thinking about better ways to do things. Please do show. I will. I've planned plenty of stuff, but have left stuff purposely vague, like level design. That's a good idea, Pass. I agree with you. And too much mind maps and concept arts. Yeah, my advice is to... You don't need a plan, but have a concept of a plan. I learned that from someone recently. A concept of a plan. I think that's funny. Making a plan is really funny because it don't include tedious stuff. Yeah, that's the thing is like all the stuff I show in my videos is not the tedious stuff. It's the final product. It's the interesting moments. But in reality, I spend an absurd amount of time just coding, and it's coding a bunch of stuff that's not even fun. It's coding stuff like the resolution and making the resolution work, or the text, or the UI. I spend so much time on the freaking UI. I spend a lot of time on this map. I spend a lot of time... Yeah, look at all these features in the menu. Like, you have to code all this stuff. Edit keybinds? Oh, I just crashed the game. Now I have to stop and fix this. Because that's just how game development goes. Okay, let's fix this. This is in new UI 425. A concept of a plan. It's a joke. That's something that Trump said, and everyone thinks it's funny. It is funny. It's a funny thing to say. 425. Oh. I changed how... I think I just need to get rid of... Let's give this a different sound. Whoops. What game engine do I use? It's Love 2D. It's a game framework. Classic game dev moment. Yeah, I know. I really like Love 2D, but honestly, the UI stuff has been miserable. Well, yeah, it's mainly because it's not baked in. I've been doing all the UI stuff a lot, just on my own, manually. We need to change this from this to, I think I changed it to like UI click. The way I changed my sound effects. to have a different format. They used to be loaded into a table as data, but now I changed them so that they're strings. So if I say UI click, I'm going to just keep it at UI click. So this will fix that. OMG, so true. Have been getting into game dev, and I now have huge respect to the devs for all the small stuff. Yeah, the small stuff that's probably true for most professions and most creative fields and probably most jobs in general. It's just that you see the interesting stuff, but you don't see the mundane, tedious stuff because there's no real need to, I guess. Will you be able to play it on Linux? Yes, you will. I'm not going to be releasing a Linux build until full release, just because it's a lot of work to create new builds for each new platform that I do. And I'd rather save that step with Linux until the very end. Because, yeah, even doing Windows and Mac alone, like, Mac makes it so much harder. And so adding Linux to that as well, I'd rather not right now. Do you think that making a Terraria-like game with Love 2D is possible? Yeah, I think it's possible. I don't see why not. Yeah, I really think that you could probably make a Terraria-like game with any engine. You could probably make it with any game framework. Hydrate? Thank you. Actually, I need to go get my water. My water is not here, and I forgot it. I'll be right back. I'm back. Did I know that SteamOS is actually based on Debian? I learned that recently because in order to get Steam Deck verification, there needs to be a Linux build. Otherwise, you don't get that check mark. However, the game runs perfectly on Steam Deck. It emulates the Windows port perfectly, super well. So the game works really, really well on SteamOS, or on Steam Deck, I should say. But I will need to have that officially ported to Linux so that I get the check mark. Do I plan to release the game for mobile phones? I plan to try, but no promises quite yet. Please make it available for Arch Linux and Debian. Yeah, I would like to. Aside big cursor. Oh, that's something that someone talked about in chat a while ago. I changed the cursor. So, like, people used to flame me for my giant cursor, but, like, now it's more appropriately sized, and you can change it. I can make it even smaller, and then I can make it huge. Well, I guess... Is it even showing up on the stream? Oh, it is, a little bit. It's hard to tell on stream, but it's noticeable. Because it used to be, like... stuck at this size, and it's kind of big, but now you can change it. Actually, I'm gonna go back to 2. Planning has been super fun, even though it's pretty loose and is bound to change. Yeah, that's my thing. Is I love planning. I love fantasizing about this game. I love thinking about new ideas and new areas and new enemies, new bosses, whatever else I want to work on. I love thinking about that stuff, but it's not productive because a lot of those plans just won't come to fruition. You only really know that an idea will work once you actually implement it. I've heard that Concerned Ape spent a significant amount of time perfecting the game to the point where he missed his deadline release for almost 2 years. That sounds right. I know that he worked very obsessively about finishing Stardew Valley. He lived in the Seattle area too. How do you import tiled animation like water and love? So in Tiled, you can make animated tile sets. So if you look closely, the water is moving even in Tiled, which is cool. And that works by going to the tile set. So I go to the water tile set, and then there you can edit the tile set. And once you're in here, it gives you the option to like click on a specific tile and animate it, and then it'll let you choose more frames from this side to like add to the cycle so that it will animate frame by frame. And then in Love, somewhere in my code, I have, I think it's STI:update. It's probably in the update file somewhere. Update STI tiled. What would this be? I'm trying to remember what I would call this. Oh, game map. Game map. Okay, so it's going to be game map update. Game map update. Okay, there we go. So this line here, I have the tile map loaded into this variable called game map. And then if I call the update function on it every frame, then it's going to apply the animation that I have set in tiled. It's going to display that same animation in the game. Is the area in the demo part of the final game, or is the demo its own thing? Well, it was intended to be for the final game. Officially changed every single map in the demo. There is no part of the demo, the current Steam demo, that's in my new version of the Steam demo. Once I post 0.4.0, it's going to be using all of these maps, which are 100% different from the ones that are currently in the Steam demo. And that might be... I think that most people will like this new format. I really think that my design is so much tighter, and the maps look way better than they used to. So I'm pretty excited for people to play this. Is it possible to give multiple images one variable name? They're all drawn in as their own variables, but I'm unsure how to call all of them as a unit. To give multiple images one variable. So you're saying that you have lots of different sprites in the game, and you don't want to have to call an individual draw command, or like an individual draw function for each of them. Is that what you're referring to? Because if so, there's not really a way around that. The only way around that is to iteratively draw them all. So what I do is, like, if I wanted to draw all the NPCs, for example, what I do is I have this loop here, and this loop, it loops through every NPC that's in the current game, or that's in the map, that's visible in the map. It iterates through all of them, and it draws them. And it does the same with all of the enemies. It iterates through every enemy, and then it draws them. It iterates through every projectile, and it draws it. It iterates through every plant, and it draws it. So there's no way around it. You're going to have to do that in some way. But if you have the data stored in like a table like this, or like if you have it stored within an array or in a table or in a dictionary, somewhere where it's not just like a bunch of tons of variables written down, I wouldn't recommend doing that. But if you have it organized like this, you can just iterate through every piece of data and then call the draw function that's associated with that data. My character is drawn in multiple layers. Yeah, mine is drawn in multiple layers as well. I like how tight the map looks. Empty space is a concern with bigger maps. That's exactly what I was having problems with in my earlier versions. I think I still have them. I actually got rid of them. I got rid of all of the old demo maps, but they were quite literally, so like look at this map here. The maps in the current demo, in the current Steam demo, are 4 times as big. Pretty much take this map here and put 4 of them, like a 4 square. And that's how big the current maps in the Steam demo are. And now, in the updated demo, like, they're all shrunk down to be a quarter of the size of what they used to be. And some people might hear that and they'd say, well, that's lame. Like, big maps are more interesting than small maps. But the thing is, each map connects with other maps in interesting and meaningful ways like this. Like, this is one map and it connects to this other map. It feels like one cohesive place. it doesn't need. I personally don't think that we need to have huge maps in order to achieve a huge feel. As long as each map connects with each other in a meaningful way, like that's enough to make a difference. That's enough to achieve that big world feel, even though the maps themselves are relatively small. How hard would it be? Excuse me. How hard would it be to make a game entirely from scratch, no engines, no frameworks? It'd be challenging. It depends on the type of game that you're making, because I bet that you could make Pong from scratch, and it wouldn't. It would take a while. So actually, I should rephrase that. If you know how to make games already, I think that going from scratch would be tricky. It would take some work researching how to do specific things, but I think that someone experienced with game development would be able to figure it out. Someone who's not familiar with game development, starting completely from scratch, no knowledge whatsoever, you're starting from scratch. It's going to be like 100 times more difficult than if you already have experience. I generally advise people to go with the easiest route when you're starting out. So if you've never done game development before, you definitely choose something easy to start with. Otherwise, you're going to get started and overwhelm yourself, and then you're just going to quit. I don't want people to quit. My goal for anyone that like wants to achieve something is to actually eventually achieve it, even if it takes a long time. So if you accept that it's going to take a long time before you can make your dream game, then you'll get there faster, or you'll actually get there, because otherwise you're going to say, okay, I'm going to make my dream game. Well, your dream game is very difficult to make, and you have no experience. That means that the game that you create is probably not going to turn out very good. I always talk about like a painter. Imagine you're a painter, or you're wanting to start painting, and you're like, I can picture in my mind this perfect painting, and it's going to be so good, but I've never painted before. But I'm going to start with my dream painting anyway. Like, imagine how that painting is going to turn out. Do you think that person's first painting is going to turn out good, or is it going to turn out bad? It's probably not going to turn out good. And that's just because you're new to it. If instead you said, I really want to make this painting, but it's going to take me a few years before I can build up the skills in order to achieve that. If you accept that, then you're going to choose to start with something easier. You're going to choose to start with like a simple, small watercolor little painting, maybe some still lifes, and you're going to go bit by bit. You're going to make hundreds of paintings over the years, and eventually you're going to reach the point where you have enough skills to actually build or actually create that painting you originally set out to make. And it's the same with a game like this. Like I imagine a lot of people want to make a game that's kind of like mine, where it's just like a retro style, like Zelda-like game. I feel like that's a common game people like and want to make. It took me a long time to reach this point. I mean, I was making fan games when I was a kid, but my own custom game starting from scratch, no, that would be intense. That would be intense. When you release the game, if it completely fails, how would you approach the next project? Well, I see what you mean. I personally don't really see it as the game needs to succeed, because I'm building an audience anyway. If the game makes $0, I personally would be okay. That would be fine, because I'm still building an audience on YouTube. People are still following me. I'm still talking to people and building my own skills. That's the other thing, is if the game fully fails, that's okay, because my next game is going to be better. Because like even right now, I feel so much better at game development now compared to 1 year ago, and way better than 2 years ago, and so on. So I imagine that in 5 years from now, I'm going to look back at this game here and say, what was I thinking? This is ugly. I can't believe I ever thought this was good. Because that's what happens when you build your skills creatively. If you've ever played an instrument and you've listened to a recording of yourself, like when you first started, compared to like how you sound after playing for years, you think, how did I ever sound so crappy? And the truth is, everyone sounds crappy at first. You just have to push through that horrible part. And I have a lot of people watching the stream right now, and that's awesome. But the truth is, I didn't have a lot of people watching playing my games or watching me or doing anything when I was new to this. When I was new to this, my games looked like crap, and they played like crap because I was new to it. And that's okay. It takes a long time before you can build up those skills. But now that I'm good at things, I'm able to do this a bit more confidently. Could you make a tutorial on a main menu UI in Love 2D? Yeah, maybe. The thing about UI is that all of my UI is completely custom. It's all custom made for my game specifically. It's not really something I could make a tutorial on. What I could do is at some point I would like to make I would like to release a lot of the individual features of this game as like a library. So I could make a UI library that people could integrate into their own games. Or another one I'm thinking about is the text boxes. They're a little ugly right now, but functionally they work really well. And I think something like this would make a good library too. Or I could make a tutorial on this. A tutorial on this makes a lot more sense because I'd be able to like explain the individual aspects of it. Starting off slow and small is key for learning any new skill. Exactly. It's the same with game development. And I feel like with game development is a very common one that people really like to jump into super complex stuff immediately. And the truth, it just takes a lot of patience. You have to be super patient with all that stuff. Which you like better, top-down or 2D? If by 2D you mean like a platformer, I prefer top-down like this. But there are platformers I really like. I really like Hollow Knight. I really like Celeste. Me and my friend just played through Nine Souls, and we had a lot of fun with that too. So I like platformers a lot. But personally, I'm more inspired by games that are top-down like this. The freedom of exploration, it's better for exploration, let's just say that. I like exploring games, and a top-down perspective works better for that, in my opinion. Hello, I love your work, and I hope best. Thank you, appreciate that. That's so nice of you. How long have I been programming? I've been programming since, let's see, so I was doing Game Maker stuff when I was 12, I think is when I first got that book. So I've been doing Game Maker stuff since then. And then when I was in high school, I took a programming class. Actually, I took 2 when I was in high school. And then I got my computer science degree in college. So that was a full college of programming. And then I had a software career for like 7, or it was for 6 years. And that was all programming. So well over a decade at this point. And yeah, at this point, I feel really competent and confident. I feel competent and confident with programming. I feel like I really know what I'm doing with it, which is nice. But there's other aspects that I don't, like pixel art. I struggle with pixel art still. There's a lot of pixel art that I think I can do that's good. Like this axe I made is pretty good. The character I made is pretty good. But anything that's complex or detailed, like look at this gate. This gate is beautiful. But it was mostly made by some pixel artists that I commissioned. So, you know, I still have room to grow in plenty of other aspects. And that's the other difficult aspect. The difficult part about game development is that it's a combination of your programming skills, your design skills, your artistic skills, your marketing skills, your design or level design skills. There's every oh, I didn't even mention sound design or music. There's all of these things are a huge factor in how the game like plays and what the experience is like. I do feel like I'm getting better at game dev. I went from how do I move my character to arrays are second nature to me. That's awesome. That's really, really good. And the only way to achieve that feeling is just to do it all the time. Hey, I'm late. What's new? Not much. The only thing that's new is that I'm doing Moonshire Monday at a new time than I normally do, which is kind of I like it. I think it's gonna work out a little bit better for me. I might be able to go for 2 hours now rather than an hour and a half, but well, it just depends on how I'm feeling. I use Sprite. If it's that good, it costs me 20. Or sorry, I use Sprite. If that's good, it does cost $20. Yeah, I use Sprite as well. I think I have it open. Yeah, I do have it open. I love Sprite. It's my favorite piece of like art software. I use it every day, and I really, really love it. There's a free version, or actually, you could like compile it yourself since it's open source. There's also a free compilation called LibreOffice, so that's another option too. Question, making a bullet hell boss rush game, what makes a good top-down controller? Like there's tricks like Coyote and input buffer, but no topic for top-down controller. Let's see, what could I talk about with that? I think nailing the movement is really important. And part of it, for me, it's deciding how quickly the character accelerates and how quickly they decelerate. And I talked about this on stream before, but the player, it's very hard to see it. But when the player starts moving, he reaches top speed immediately. All the movement is instant. But when I stop, he does decelerate. There's a slide to the stop. And that's a very small detail, but it does impact how the game feels. It's a very small detail for how the game feels. Oh, here's another one. How about look at when the player swings the axe. When the player swings the axe, he moves forward a little bit. Like there's a bit of a push forward. But also, when you swing at an enemy, the push forward is bigger. Like, look how much he's swinging forward. Like, this is how much he normally swings forward, but when I have an enemy close by, he swings forward even more. And that snapping really helps with making the combat feel good. Because we want our attacks to hit, and if the player swings their axe and it's just out of reach, it's just so annoying. But if I always boost the player in the direction of the enemy that I'm looking at, so that the attack connects, it just makes the game feel so nice. And I think that's what helps make my combat feel really good too. Well, that's really neat. Thanks. The way it works is when you swing the axe, you can see these little, if you look really closely, out in front of the player, there's those long lines. Those long lines are searching for enemies. And if those long lines collide with an enemy, that's what triggers the boost forward. What's my New Year's res? My New Year's res? Excuse me, my New Year's I keep saying it wrong. My New Year resolution. I haven't decided if I should give it a name, but I'm just so focused on what I'm doing now, which is making, well, I shouldn't say, I've been slacking on making content, and I'd say my resolution is to post content more regularly. And I think I'll be able to achieve that because with streaming, I think I'll be able to utilize that a little bit more with like YouTube content. And I don't know, I have a lot of ideas for videos I want to make. So this year, I just want to focus a little bit more on making more content because I've been slacking with videos towards the end of last year, and I don't want that to be a habit. I want to break that soon. Oh, Wolf, hi, welcome in. Anything new since 0.3.9 besides the... See, there's a few things. Sorry I missed your message. I'm gonna turn these off. So, a few things. One is that you can change the camera zoom. I have the camera zoomed in way far right now, but I also made it so that you can change how like far out it is. So right now it's far out. I can make it even farther. It's like this is max distance. This is all right actually. So moving forward, I'm going to make it so the game can accommodate any FOV. And this is based off of some of Wolf's feedback before she was testing and thought that it was a bit too zoomed in, and I agree. The thing is, a really zoomed in camera like this, it looks better cinematically for like my streams or when I'm describing something, just because everything's crystal clear and zoomed in, right? And when someone is playing the game like on their own, a view like this probably is better just because they'll be able to see more stuff. But I think the default I'm going to keep is going to be like 2. I think this is going to be the default for most people when they play the game. Oh, the other thing that I talked about this at the beginning of the stream too, is I animated the sunflower. Ooh. It's finally waving in the wind. I know that there's definitely some other stuff I worked on. Oh, I'm rebalancing some of the armor. So I made it so that the axe has 3 armor while the spear has 2. And before it was 1 less than that. I know I changed a lot more stuff than just that though. I can't remember what else. Oh, yeah, I just redid all the maps again. Yeah, they're all different. Like, literally every map is different now. They're not that different, but they are... It's different than the one I sent. So what I'm talking about is Wolf Eterni is helping me with testing. And I sent her a build earlier that was very rough. It was very rough. It bugged out like crazy. But it gave me a lot of fix. Oh, the pickup button. Yeah, I was experimenting with no pickup button for a while. I really wanted to make it so that you only needed an attack button and a dodge button, and that was it. But it was just too inconvenient. The drop system is cool. Thank you. Yeah, and that's part of why I added the pickup button back, is because it helps facilitate that. But this past year, I have been obsessed with level design and obsessed with, like, not just level design, but world design, because it's how the levels interconnect with each other that's so important. And that's what I've been obsessing over is the pacing of the game and making sure that everything fits together nicely. Oh, this is a new fight that wasn't in the test build. And I'm also trying to figure out what's too difficult and what's not too difficult, because when I play the game, there are actually times when I get overwhelmed by the enemies. There's times when even I mess up and I die, and I'm thinking, well, if I'm dying, then maybe this is too hard, because this is still the beginning of the game, and like I would like it so that like my mom could play this game and beat it. I would really like that. But I don't want it to be so easy that it provides no challenge for anyone, so I'm gonna have to figure out a good way to balance that. Crazy that this started with a Zelda remake. I know. It is so funny. Yeah, it's built off of basically the same code base, I think. I can have my dad play the test builds. Awesome, nice. Yeah, I haven't even had my dad play the test builds yet. I keep doing this. This is just my nervous habit where I go around hitting stuff. It is really satisfying to just like break boxes. Oh, the other thing I changed in the test build is I got rid of the houses. So there were houses that you could walk into, but I got rid of them. So there's still houses, but you just can't go inside of any of them. They're just for decoration. And I got rid of them because they didn't really serve any purpose other than like, there was no purpose. It's sort of like the Zelda games. There is no purpose to going inside the houses. In fact, it's kind of weird that you can go inside people's houses. It's funny though. It's funny that you can go inside people's houses. But I got rid of them because it just didn't... there was no need for it. There was no need. Hi, I'm new to learning Python and stumbled upon these classes. I wanted to ask, am I the only one finding it hard to find the grasp of it? No, of course you're not the only one. Classes and inheritance, that is a complicated topic that it's really important to learn. But yeah, that's a topic that people in college, they have entire classes dedicated to, or entire courses in college dedicated to understanding classes, understanding objects, understanding inheritance, understanding polymorphism, understanding all of that stuff in regards to data organization and code organization. It's important stuff. But really, you'll pick up on the important fundamentals as you use it more. So, like, I'm making it sound difficult, but you can take it one step at a time. A class is just the blueprints for an object. So, for example, let's say I go over to, I have a tree over here. That's a good example. So, like, look at this tree here. This tree has fruit on it. But these other trees, like this one over here, this one doesn't have any fruit on it. They're basically the same tree, but this one has fruit on it, and when I hit the fruit tree, it drops fruit and gives me seeds. So that's the only difference between these two trees. Other than that, they're the exact same thing. So classes come in handy when I have two objects, two types of things that are very similar. They have basically the same properties, but there is some difference. What you would do is you would have a tree class so that you can make tree objects like this one and this one. These are just trees, or even the big tree. It's just a big tree like this one. That's called the tree class. But then you could have a child of that class that's called fruit tree. And a child of a class has all of the same characteristics as its parent. So a fruit tree has everything that a regular tree has. It has all the same properties. It's solid. It has this little animation. I can hit it. It has all those same properties. But the fruit tree has some additional characteristics to it, like a child would. Like a child of two parents has all the characteristics of its parents, but with some own unique traits. And that's where the fruit tree comes into play, is that the fruit tree is a child of the tree class, and the only difference is it has the fruit on it, right? And that's the fundamental behind classes, is that you're trying to organize your code in a way where nothing has to be like copy and pasted to multiple files, because it'd be very silly if I had one Lua file for fruit trees and another Lua file for regular trees, and the same code was copy and pasted to both files. It makes more sense to have the tree class have all the main code, and then the child class file have all of the additional fruit specific code, if that makes sense. Inheritance, right? Yeah, that's right, Gabriel. Someone was talking about classes, and part of the appeal of classes is the inheritance aspect of them. But the other important aspect of classes is just that it allows you to make objects based off of a blueprint, because the tree is a blueprint. And thanks to that class, and when I say blueprint, that means class. A class is a blueprint. It's the idea of an object. And then when I create a tree here, this is an object. An object is just an instance of a class. So this is an instance tree of the class tree, or sorry. This is a tree object based off the tree class. And this is also a tree object based off the tree class. It's the same class. They're just two separate objects based off the same blueprints. And then making it more complicated is just that this tree is based off of a set of blueprints that is based off of a different set of blueprints. So it has like a combination of multiple characteristics to make the fruit tree aspect. You should make a short about it? Yeah, I could do that. It's a good idea. There's lots of like general programming aspects or ideas and fundamentals that I could probably talk on. I could definitely talk on them, because I had to understand this stuff really, really well when I was in college, and then I had to understand it really, really well when I was interviewing for my jobs, specifically for Microsoft. Microsoft was very stringent on their interview process, and you had to know your stuff if you wanted to get in. Wish to have a teacher like you. That's nice of you to say. I'm always happy to answer questions if there's any specific questions. I love talking about coding stuff. You should make videos teaching these things because you simplify these things really well. Yeah, I think that I should. I think you're right. I'll do that this year, but not until I get an editor on board. So I'm gonna be looking for a local editor to meet up with me, and we're gonna help with the video making process. Because I was talking about this earlier in the stream, how I like game development a lot, but making videos, I'm a little bit burnt out on making videos. I love streaming. Like what I'm doing right now, I love. Making videos is a little bit, I'm a little burnt out on that. And an editor would be really, really helpful with that, because I still like writing scripts. I still like recording voiceovers. I still like that aspect, but editing is a pain. It's a pain. And I'm pretty particular about my videos, so that's why I haven't really wanted to hire an editor until now. Programming and teaching programming are two skills. You're absolutely right, because teaching programming involves taking a complicated topic and simplifying it in a way that someone who doesn't know anything about it can understand it, and articulating complicated topics like that is really difficult. I like back when you actually explained everything behind new things you added to the game, like how you wrote the movement, how bombs and arrows worked. Yeah, I can understand why those videos popped off, especially on TikTok, because they were well made. But the problem that I found during that time is, so the truth is, those TikTok videos where I explained every aspect is, none of that stuff was progress. None of that stuff really felt like progress. That was when my priority was to create videos. My priority at the time was to create videos. And so when I was going to make something in-game, I was doing it with the intention to make a video about it. And that was really helpful, like, with the whole process, because, you know, I would approach different problems with, like, how am I going to explain this in the video, or how am I going to show this? What are some interesting parts of this process that I can show off in the TikTok? And that part was cool, but what that led to was I wasn't really making decisions, and I wasn't really working on stuff that benefited the game. I was making decisions and working on stuff that benefited the TikTok channel more than anything. And I really, like, there was a point where I just felt like I was running on a treadmill, not accomplishing anything, just working on random stuff just to make a video about it. And I once I stopped doing that, I was posting less, but I felt like I was getting more progress done in terms of design and really working on making the game as good as it could possibly be. But it's a mixed bag, though, because I really want to get back to making videos. And I love those videos. I go back and watch some of those TikToks and those shorts and anything where I talked about the specific details about the stuff I was adding to the game. And they're good. They're actually really good. And I would love to get back to doing that. So, yeah, Wolf, I think you're right. I should get back to doing that sort of thing. But I need to do it in a way that doesn't interfere with development as much as it used to, because that is part of why I stopped doing it. It was interfering with development, and I was making decisions based off of videos rather than really what I wanted to focus on for the game itself, if that makes sense. Sheesh, your lace? Well, no worries. I'm still going to be streaming for like another hour or so. All the tiles for the environment are 16 by 16. Do it closer to release? Yeah, probably. Yeah. Let's go over here. Is this M64 music? Yeah. I love Super Mario 64. You speedrun that game? Awesome. Yeah, I know Wolf speedruns that game too. Actually, I've seen so many speedruns for Mario 64. It's a lot of fun. This is an area that I haven't been showing too much yet. It's a lot of the snowy area. There's a little puzzle that that I designed this area around, where before you have the swimming ability, in order to get over to that area over there, you need to have a torch. So once you have a torch, you can use a torch to burn this bramble. And that'll allow you to get over to the side of the this little landmass here, so you can swim across and get over here. But when you swim across the water, it puts your torch out. So your torch is extinguished once you go across there. And now you can't use the torch over here to get through this bramble. So that's a little puzzle meant to be like, what can I do to bring a torch over to this area so that I can clear that bramble? Mario 64 is one of those games that are really good, but can be really broken too. Well, I mean, I think that the brokenness is part of what makes it so fun. Well, I shouldn't say that. The movement and the mechanics are what makes it so fun, but it being broken, I wouldn't say that detracts from the experience. I would say it adds to it, because you can do some crazy weird glitches to do some crazy weird movement. Again, that game is all about the movement, so as long as the bugs make the movement more interesting, I think that is a good thing. And I think most people agree. I probably shouldn't show this area because it still has the old versions of the sea mines, and they don't look right. The game wouldn't be nearly as popular if it came out in today's standards without 99% of the glitches. Oh, you're totally right. It came out at the perfect time because it was so influential. Do I watch Sakurai's game dev videos on YouTube? I haven't watched those. Dude, it's so funny because if he was making those videos back when I was in college, that was when I was in my Smash Bros. Obsession phase. I was such a Smash Bros. Fanatic, and if he was releasing those videos at the time, I would have watched every single one of them. But no, I haven't checked those out. I bet I would like them. I bet I would really like them. They're so good. Yeah, I'll check them out. I was a big Sakurai fan in college because when he was it's not focused on Smash Bros. Okay, that will make it fresh. Not that I have a problem with Smash Bros. I love Smash Bros. But I haven't played it since I was in college. I was so into it. I was so into the competitive scene and actually getting good. But yeah, that sort of wore off. Actually, the real reason why I stopped playing Smash Bros. Is because it hurt my hands. Like, I can't play it anymore. So what are we doing in today's Moonshire Monday? I mean, pretty much the same thing as normal, which is just me wandering around and answering questions. Oh, is this a new area? So this isn't in the demo right now. Well, sorry, let me rephrase this. This isn't currently in the Steam demo right now, but this is a new area for the upcoming version. And yeah, it's a snowy theme. Ooh, here's one thing that I need to fix at some point. So if you look really closely, look how it's snowing right now. It's kind of hard to see on stream, it's subtle, but it's snowing right now. When I switch screens, the snow suddenly... Actually, it doesn't. No, when I hear. Yeah, okay, so when I go from this map to this map, the snow stops. And then it starts up again. It takes a few seconds for the snow to kick back in. I need to fix something about that. It's not noticeable because it's not. Jeez, I'm stuttering so badly. It's not noticeable from this direction because the snow falls from the top down. It seems like, but up here it clears all the snow. Yeah, it doesn't start from the top of the map. I think that it's not that it starts at the top of the map. It's that all of the snowflakes. Long story short, yes. I'll just say long story short, yes. It does start from the top of the map. It's because each snowflake has a position, a list. I'm stuttering and not explaining myself well at all. What I'm trying to say is that every snowflake that you see, when it spawns, it has its landing position calculated already. It knows exactly where it's going to land on the ground. And once it has that landing position figured out, it moves itself up and to the left. So like, let's say that the snowflake was going to land right here. It's going to position itself way up here, up left, and then it's going to start floating down to its landing position and then die once it hits its landing position. So because it's doing that like up left like spawn movement, that's why it's doing that that top down thing. So that's why I said, like, long story short, yes, Wolf is right. It's just starting from the top of the map. But really, it's more that each snowflake starts more top left than anywhere else. Kyle, do I use tweens? Yes. In fact, these snowflakes operate off tweens. So when a snowflake spawns, it figures out its landing position, it puts itself up here, and then it tweens itself down to the landing position. All of these snowflakes are objects. Jesus Christ, I thought it was a simple sprite effect. No, they are all objects. They are all, I have this class called effects. And I think it's called snow. Snow? Yeah, here we go. Yeah, it's just, it's a snowflake particle. So I give it the snowflake sprite. It has a random scale, so each snowflake is going to be slightly differently sized. If you look really, I know it's hard to see, but some snowflakes are bigger than others. and that's thanks to the random factor that's I have highlighted here. Then they have some rotation, so it rotates over time. And this is where I move it up and to the left. So I move it up 200 pixels, to the left 72 pixels, and then an additional amount left or right, or sorry, an additional amount left or up, more from there. And then once it starts, it just tweens itself to the final position. Why did you name the game Moonshire? I named it Moonshire because it fit the vibe. I spent a crazy amount of time finding a name that hasn't been used yet. So there's no game called Moonshire, and when you search Moonshire, it's just my stuff. So that was a big aspect too. Then there is another reason. Oh, because Lua. The game was originally called Legend of Lua. Lua is, I think it's the Portuguese word for moon. Lua, like Luna. Lua has a moon theme to it in general. And I think that moon theme of Lua kind of bled into my game thematically. And that's what helped inspire the name Moonshire, if that makes sense. I think that makes sense. HPs used to be moons. Oh, well, yeah. So the funny part is the HPs were moons, and I did that when I already decided the name of the game, but before I announced the name of the game. So in the video where I showed off the HP as moons, oh yeah, the moon's up here. So I guess these are moons too. I was thinking of when there was a point in one of the videos where I had the moons kind of like Zelda's hearts, where they were like stacked out this way. And whenever you got hit, you would just lose a moon, kind of like losing a heart. And in that video, I'm like, I chose to make the hearts moons for story reasons. And it just sounded so stupid because that was before I told anyone what the name of the game was. So like I was talking about these moons as hearts, but it didn't make sense because the name of the game wasn't revealed yet. Or it wasn't, it was still Legend of Lua. Does the name have to do with the lore? Yeah, so in the Steam demo, it says that Moonshire is not where the player currently exists. But in this new demo, where I changed all of the maps, now the game takes place on Moonshire. So the game, like Moonshire is the location that we're in. So that's help. That helps explain the lore. Sorry, I'm stuttering a little bit more than I usually do in these streams. I need to work on that. Do you do all the art by myself? I do not. So a lot of these environment tiles are from open source and paid asset packs that I edit to match my style. And then a lot of like the trees, I think, come from the asset packs too. And then I commission artists to make other sprites, like the bosses and the characters, some of the enemies. There's a lot of that stuff that I got commissioned, or like this whirlpool over here. This whirlpool was made by Tony, and that sort of stuff. So it's a combination of using open or paid sprites. You can't pass the sky zone. I mean, that's the end of the game, so that's basically it. I'm really excited that people are happy with the current Steam demo. And the thing is, I think that this new version is just better in every single way. It's better paced. The world organization makes sense. There's fewer bosses though. I need to add more bosses because I think that was a big appeal of the current Steam demo. There's 4 bosses and they are actually fun to fight. Everything besides the bosses I think is lacking. Is the new demo up? No, it's not up yet. The new demo is what I'm playing right now, but it's not available quite yet. I missed my deadline. I really wanted it out by the end of the year, but I struggled. That's the way it goes. Let's actually do some content. Let's do some fighting. You can blame it on COVID this time. Yeah, I was sick with COVID for over a week. It was almost 2 weeks actually, and I was out. It sucked. And yeah, I could blame it on COVID, but the truth is I've missed my deadlines so many times now. I keep missing my deadlines. Wolf, I told you I was going to have a test build in a couple days, and it's been more than a couple days, so I'm just so sorry that I keep making promises that I can't keep. It's just that I keep changing directions. It's a bummer. I need to stop telling people that I'll have things ready when I don't know. Yeah, I'm sorry to anyone that I keep doing that to. You said that in July. I know, exactly. and the funny part is that the plus side is the game. I'm being genuine. It's so much better now than the current Steam demo. The game it's such an improvement. But the bad part is that I'm just leaving everyone in the dark. I personally know that I'm making good progress, but I haven't been showing that well. Outside of the streams, I should say. The streams have been nice, but I've just been doing a bad job in general with keeping updates coming out. Explode them by attacking the enemies. Oh, actually, I quit the game so I could go back to the main menu. Let's go to this file, and let's actually play the game, because I need to do that. Hold right click to drop your weapon. Yeah, Wolf, what do you think of these controls? So, rolling is back, or sorry, it's attack, roll, and then the pickup button is back. So, you hold the pickup button to drop your weapon. You just press the pickup button once to pick up a weapon that's near you. And then I think to shatter the weapon, it's going to be mash the pickup button. And if you mash the pickup button, that's what shatters the weapon. I haven't actually implemented the mashing yet, so I haven't been able to test if that's actually fun. But I think that'll work out well. Your 6-year-old son likes playing the demo? That's awesome! So cool! I'm glad that it's approachable for a kid. That's neat. Ow. Look, the farmer's just like standing there. Help me! Yeah, I should put him in like a scared state where he's like curled up in a ball or something. Ooh. Oh my gosh. See, this is what I mean. It's like, if I get hit, I bet other people are going to get hit too. The rest is good, not too different from the other versions. Or from the older versions, yeah. Yeah, it's like I have all these ideas for the controls, and I just keep changing my mind on it. On the plus side, wave dashing is back in its full glory. Well, that's the other thing, is you can go down those well. Whoops. Oh my gosh, I'm almost dead. Let's go heal. Yeah, Wolf, in the version I sent you, the way you would wave dash was you would roll, and then you would have to dry dodge. So like a neutral, like a dodge without an input. So you would roll and then let go of your input for direction and dodge again in place. It was really hard. But now you have the pickup button to wave dash. It's a lot better. This is some secret tech for you guys watching. If you dodge and then use the pickup button, you can like slide across the ground like this. It's really cool. Dashing animation changes when you have a weapon. Yeah, so actually what happened was you roll when you have a weapon, but if you try to pick up while you are dodging, you cancel the dodge and then you like slide. I call it wave dashing from Smash Bros. Or from Melee. You like Wario? It's an interesting comparison. Does Wario slide? Oh, this is another puzzle where you have, if you have a torch down here, You have to light these braziers. But again, if you go over here and cross the water, it puts your torch out. And there's no way to clear the bramble. But if you go over here, drop your weapon. Oh, a fart mechanic. Yeah, because I didn't even notice. Yeah, there's a lot of dust coming up. This fight's bad. I need to fix this fight. They delay themselves for too long after they land. I think I'm gonna make them like come out of the ground instead of coming down from the sky. Okay, but now I can go grab my torch. Oh, I gave Torch his armor too. We found this day when it's still there. Yeah. I can't remember. I think I discovered wave dashing myself, which is funny, because I can't even remember what the origin of wave dashing was. They die from one hit. I mean, those enemies do, yeah. There's a few things I need to change with the balancing. It's like you're seeing the game for the first time again. I know the game is it's wildly different. It's wildly different, and in my opinion, it's just so much better. But there's still some jank that I need to clear up. There's still some jank, that's for sure. Okay, we don't need this anymore. When did the watercolor change the entire cave? Oh yeah, so the water it's water here, but then over here I want to make it look more dangerous because this purple, it's not meant to be water, it's meant to be acid. And like you walk into the acid and it kills you. When is the demo update? My new deadline is the end of this month, but dude, I feel so bad for continuously missing it. It's so embarrassing. I need to stop. It's a problem. On the plus side, like I do actually have test builds ready. Me and Wolf are gonna be testing this week. Ah, Monday. Hi, welcome in, Rain. Or is it Reen or is it Renee? Because I could see it both ways. Oh, whoops, I wasn't supposed to do that. Confirmed this week. Well, I mean, I'm gonna have a test build for you this week because I could send you this build right now, and there's plenty of stuff we could glean from this build right now. The thing is, I don't want to waste your time with a build that I still could make improvements on. So give me another couple days and I'll send this to you. Even if it's not fully ready, I'll still send it to you so we can try it out. Just to make sure that the combat feels better than it used to. Because even that build I sent you earlier, I'm glad I sent that to you because you helped me with realizing I needed the pickup button and the FOV and stuff. I'm glad I sent that to you. But also, like, it was so buggy that I'm pretty sure I wasted a lot of your time with crashes and stuff, and there was no need for that. I should have called it off or something. I don't know about that. It's pronounced Serene. Good. That's how I've been pronouncing it. But I'm confused. Is this a speed run? No, this isn't a speed run. I'm just playing around. Really, I'm trying to find any small things that need fixing. It actually wasn't too bad besides the soft lock in the first map. Is there a soft lock in the first map? I think I crashed. There were definitely crashes if you went to some of the... I think that there was like a map or two that I just didn't have ready. Is the map ready? I think that the maps are done. I think that the maps are ready now. Because these are all the maps that I have. It's D1, D2, D3, D4, D5. Then C1, well, this one's not done yet. Okay, so there's this one's the last one I need to do, I think. Then C2, C3, C4, C5. B5 is done. And then underground C1, C2. I am gonna redo these two, but I don't think they need to be redone now. They can be redone later. I don't need C3, C4, and C5. And then this one's not used, this one's not used, D4 and D5. I think that every map is done now. If you die in the first map, it soft locks. Oh, like before you save. I should fix that. I bet that's still a bug. I bet that is still a problem. Can you give me a tip about how to get a good game idea? Because I spent around 3 months making a complex script and sprites, and then I found out my game was boring. I tried again, but it was worse. Yeah, that's always a hard thing to do. And that's why people tend to start with prototypes. So before you spend any time on like sprites or assets or music or story or anything, just start with like a white square and make it move around. Start with having a white square in a room, and all you do is walk around and pick up coins, and then add your little like ideas to it to try and make the gameplay fun. And if you're able to make the gameplay fun with just a white square, then you are surely in good shape with, like, once you have the graphics and the sounds and all that stuff in place. How long is the game in its current state? I bet the Steam demo right now would take you like maybe over an hour or so. And in this updated demo, I bet maybe like half an hour. There a lot of content's been removed, but I'm going to be able to add back a lot of the same content that I removed a lot faster than I was able to add it before. So the lava maps are completely scrapped. At the moment, they're not accessible, but I still have those tiles, and I'm still going to put a lava area back in. In fact, what is it? B5, this whirlpool here. I have it planned where underneath this whirlpool is a lava area, so I'm gonna have to have lava working at some point really soon. Any idea why it wouldn't work after I downloaded it from Steam? Are you on Mac Intel? If you're on Mac Intel, there's a problem with that version. How long do you wish for the game to be when you finish it? As long as it's a few hours, that's all I need it to be. Because when I started this game, I originally set out to make like this big, long, huge, grand, crazy big game, and I had all this stuff, and it was just too big for its own good. So really, I'm focused more on making a good, tight, solid game. Even if it's only like 3 hours long, that's long enough. That's plenty long, like for real. That's my goal, I'd say. Did I delete the electrical boss? Well, it's not that I didn't. It's not that I deleted it. So the bosses in the current demo, all of them are still going to be in the game. I'm not scrapping any of those bosses. But they are not in the game in my updated version right now because I completely redid all of the enemy code. Any enemy behavior that is in the current Steam demo is gone. It's all built again from scratch. It's way better to work with now, but that means I do have to implement those bosses. It's not going to be difficult because of how well designed this new enemy code is. It's a lot easier to develop for, but I do have to go through that process again. So the only boss I have right now is the crocodile, and even that one's a little bit buggy at the moment because of some issues. So nothing's being scrapped as far as the bosses go. But when I release this updated demo version, I don't think there's going to be as many bosses in it as there are currently, just because they're still being put back in. If the game is fun, interesting for you, it's fine. Hundreds of people may have the same... Yeah, I agree with that too. The thing about a big game, though, is when I'm playing a video game, I would much rather play a short game that's very good than a long game, like a big long game that's mid. Like I don't think anyone wants mid experiences. I think people want really good, focused, tight, short experiences. They don't necessarily want them to be short, but they prefer them to be short than long and bad. Hi, wish you have a nice day. Nice, thank you. Thank you, Palaris. Any idea when it'll be fixed, or is it left to D's issue? No, it's my issue. It's a bug that I'll have to be working on soon. I check back in once this updated demo goes out, and I think I'll be able to have a fix in it for then. Because really all I need to do is start up my Intel Mac, or dust it off because I haven't used it for years, and find a way to get... I think there's just different, like, package files that I need to include in the build that just aren't supported right now. And that's the problem with Intel Macs versus Apple Silicon Macs, is that they're just different. They're different architecture. So I don't think I'm even able to make a build for Intel Macs without having an Intel Mac myself. And my Intel Mac is so old. In fact, every Intel Mac is old. So, like, it might be a bit of a challenge. I hope that I can just get mine working. The problem is, I think I need Xcode, and I don't think that they allow Xcode to run on super old versions. This is gonna be tough. Intel Mac might take a bit. I hope I can get it working. I was worried I glitched it when I took your course. Yeah, no, it's my fault. Mac is difficult to work with. Merry day, everyone. Christmas is over, but that doesn't mean we have to be. Yep, I agree. I love the festive spirit. I just put away my Christmas tree and my stockings and stuff yesterday. Oh wait, actually I still have another stocking I still need to put away. I like games with fun and small side quests to do during and after the game. For example, the Yakuza games. Yeah, the Yakuza games are really good with that sort of stuff. And I love... I'm going to be putting in diversions and stuff to keep you busy. One thing that I have in there in the Steam demo is the balloon popping boomerang game. So that's going to go right here. And again, I need to re-implement that too because, fun fact, those balloons that you pop in the balloon mini game are just enemies. They're just enemies. So since they're enemies, they got scrapped with my old enemy code. So I don't have them anymore. I have to remake the balloons that float around this island that you hit with a boomerang. Adele says, Kyle, have you played Cyberpunk? Yeah, I did. Unfortunately, though, I played Cyberpunk on release for PS4. And if you don't know the history, it did not work for PS4 when they released that game. They charged me $70 for that game, and it didn't work. Or actually, I shouldn't even say that. What happened is I asked my mom for it for Christmas. She bought it for me. I learned that it didn't work, and I couldn't return it because my mom was the one that bought it, and I didn't want to go and say, hey, Mom, let's go return this game. Like, that felt bad. How many crashes before you beat the game? I didn't even. I probably played for 3 hours, and it was so insufferably bad that I had to stop. So I didn't get very far. So Adele, I'm sorry, I have not properly played Cyberpunk. I understand it's in a great state now, and I've seen a lot of visual improvements. Like, I've seen some gameplay that looks just real. It just looks like it looks like real footage. It's crazy how good that game looks. And I know I probably should play it because of how good it is. But man, I tell you what, that experience left a really bad taste in my mouth. It's the exact same thing with No Man's Sky. I can't look past that. I'm never going to play No Man's Sky, even though I know they fixed it. But people must not remember how bad that situation was when they were lying about the stuff included in the game. It was actually pathetic. And I cannot see past that. So I'm sorry, I'm not going to play I'm not going to play No Man's Sky ever again. And I'm probably not gonna play Cyberpunk for the exact same reason. Like, they screwed me over so hard. It's unfortunate how No Man's Sky turned out. Yeah, I agree. And the thing is, like, it seems like they fixed all the problems. Like, I see gameplay of it now, and it looks awesome. It looks so cool. I really wish the game was... If it released like that, it would have been an all-time great. But it left such a horrible taste in my mouth that I just can't go back to it. At least try The Witcher 4. We'll see. I don't know. I'm on the fence. If I'm being honest, I don't think I've played any CD Projekt Red games besides Cyberpunk. Well, I started up Witcher 3, but it's just not the type of game that I'm into. It's too slow-paced and cinematic. That's not quite what I'm into. No Man's Sky actually has so many features now, it's almost overwhelming. It actually looks pretty fun. It looks so cool. It's what Starfield wishes it could have been. But at least Starfield didn't make false promises and blatantly lie to people. That's the part that I'm pissed off about with No Man's Sky. It was seriously so bad how bad that was. I can't. The more I think about it, the more mad about it I get. So let's just move on. Where was I in this? I fought the guys on the left, so I have the torch. Let's go this way. Do you have any good ideas for enemies for a top-down shooter? Not specifically, but I was playing Binding of Isaac recently, and I was getting a lot of ideas from that game, just because it has there's so many, the enemy variety in Binding of Isaac is so extreme that you can get so many ideas from it. I think that'd be a good place to look at. I'm not an expert on Lua, but if your game is ever released on console like the Switch or PlayStation, needs to be done in another language, would you take care of the ports coding? I would. I am familiar enough with complicated, like, architecture, low-level coding, or figuring out complicated stuff like that. I think I'd be able to pull it off. But if I couldn't, I have the funds to hire someone to help me with that if needed. But I think I'd be able to figure it out. But that I admit, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm being overconfident, and that process is much harder than I think it is. I'm sure it is harder than I think it is, but I also think I'll be able to figure it out. Have I played Echoes of Wisdom? Yes, I played through Echoes of Wisdom, and at the end, the frog enemies act weird when they're on fire. I noticed that too. There's a few things actually. Is that tweens continue even when you pause the game too. So if a frog is, or if one of the bunny imp is jumping, if it jumps and then you pause, its jump is going to complete and then it will pause, which is not good. I need to have two different categories of tweens, one that can pause and one that can't. Sorry, Echoes of Wisdom. I love Echoes of Wisdom. I did not like it at first. There's some quirks with the game that I do not like. But overall, once I finished the game, I loved it. I think Echoes of Wisdom is so much fun. They could fix that game completely if they cut out half of the dialogue, maybe more than half of the dialogue, cut out half the characters, and cut out the sword fighter mode. If they made it so that Zelda's spin damaged enemies, and then you got rid of sword fighter mode, and then there was no dialogue, then I think the game would be perfect. But the problem with that game is there's so much dialogue, it stops you constantly, there's so much cutscenes, and sword fighter mode is annoying. I personally find it annoying. Honestly, I'm having 8 FPS in this game in my old crusty Intel MacBook as well. Probably won't be able to play anyway with the Intel Mac. We'll see. There's other things I plan to optimize. Is it porting very expensive, like thousands of dollars? Yeah, potentially more than that actually, because porting is complicated. Porting a game to console is complicated. It requires complicated coding from someone who is almost an expert or who has experience in that. And someone who is an expert is expensive. It's expensive to hire an expert to do any sort of work. And if it takes that expert 100 hours to port your game, and you're paying him $100 an hour, well, how much money is that? So it just depends. And 100 hours, that's a very conservative estimate. I imagine it would be more than 100 hours. It just depends on the architecture and depends on how. I'm speaking out of ignorance here. I've never had to port to console before, but I have had to port to mobile, and porting to mobile is a nightmare. So I have to assume porting to console is also a nightmare. But maybe they make it easy. I'm not quite sure. If a game works perfectly on Windows, Mac, and Linux, especially Linux, I have to imagine that if a game works well on Linux, certainly it can be ported to a home console pretty easily, right? I mean, certainly all those consoles are based off of Linux in some way. I shouldn't say certainly, I don't know that. Porting seems like it should be easy, but turns out not to be. It's just because every platform is different. Even porting like from Windows to Mac has been hard. It took me dozens. It probably took me a dozen hours. No, probably more than that. It probably took me 10 hours to fix all the bugs, and then another 10 hours to figure out how to compile, post, and debug and connect to Steam. All of these stuff for my game on Mac. So that's just Mac. And Mac is way easy to develop for than, like, Switch, I have to imagine. Certainly it's easier than Switch. It works perfectly on Linux Mint. It works without any other configuration for some reason. Normally any game does. Steam Proton handles everything. Yeah, I am impressed with how Steam handles that sort of stuff. Because like the Steam Deck is Linux based, but it plays my game perfectly. It has no issues whatsoever. I love that. I'm so happy that I disabled to. But also, if I want that Steam Deck checkmark, I think that it does need a Linux build. First Moonshire Monday you're tuning into? Awesome. You're a fan of my videos. What's the hardest part of porting to a platform like Switch? Well, so I actually don't know. Unfortunately, I don't really know because I haven't ported to a console before, but I did port to mobile before. So I've developed for Mac and Linux and Windows and also mobile. And porting to mobile is very challenging just because sometimes the game might look good right now on PC, but when you run the same code on a phone, sometimes just like the shaders act up or some little coloration issue happens, or one of the libraries is incompatible with the architecture of Android, or worse, it's incompatible with Android but not incompatible with iOS, so there's a discrepancy there. There's so many. Oh, and then the security aspects, they make it very difficult to build on to keep things more secure. And that's great, but it's hard to develop for because it's so secure. I've heard that coding for Switch is very similar to coding for mobile, and that's kind of the impression I get too. Or at least the process of having to adapt my game for lesser hardware is basically what the process is like. So since I did that for mobile, and I had to learn from scratch how to do that, I assume I'd be able to learn from scratch how to do that on console as well. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's harder than I think it is. But also, I had jobs where I coded in C and C++. I can pick up any language. Any of that stuff is second nature for me to kind of get used to. But again, I might be overconfident. Maybe it's much, much more difficult than I think it is. That is always a possibility. Did I follow GMTK's game? Yes, I did. Yeah, I watched all of his devlogs. And it seemed like it went about as smoothly as any first-time game could go. He did a good job with it. Especially the visuals. The visuals of the game look really nice. Good to know. I also heard that porting to iOS is harder than Android. It's more expensive. I actually think it's easier. It's easier, but it requires a Mac, and it requires you to be fully integrated with like Xcode and the iOS setup ecosystem. So since it's all plugged into that iOS ecosystem, it's technically a little bit easier for me to develop for it because it's all plugged in together. But it is more expensive because you need a Mac to do it, and it costs $100 per year to have the license. And Android, on the other hand, you can do it with a Windows computer, which is cheaper, and the license is a $25 one-time payment, I think. Maybe that's changed since I last purchased it, but it's way cheaper to do Android than iOS for that reason. So the license is an annoying aspect of it. But they're both hard to develop for. Android probably is a little bit quirkier, because at least when you're using a Mac, it handles it's all so integrated with each other that it handles a lot of the complicated stuff for you. Apple Arcade, yeah. And you have to wait weeks to upload a patch to console for approval. Instead of PC, you can do that in the same day. Yeah, there's a lot of quirks with console, I'm sure. Steam is so nice to work with. I am impressed at how good Steam is for like uploading a project or uploading a build and having that build be available to players really fast. Because even when I was at Microsoft, I was irritated at how long it would take for builds to roll out for things I was working on, and just seeing how quickly and how fast the architecture is with Steam, I'm very impressed. Personally, I think they earned their 30% commission. That's just me. I know people will argue with that, but I have worked with a lot of different software systems in my life as a software developer, and Steam is impressive. I'm impressed at how good it is to work with. And even though it cost me 30% of my revenue to do that, I personally think it's worth it because it's that good. It's that convenient to work with. Oh, also they offer things like the the relay system, so I'll be able to connect Steam clients together through Steam and do multiplayer if I want to. I remember Edmund, Isaac creator, talking about how much of a pain in the ass Isaac Online would be to port to console, and said there's a good chance it won't happen. Oh, so is Isaac Online only on the Steam version? I didn't realize it was PC only. Listening to this gets you through your day. Thanks, man. Awesome. I'm glad I could help. Oh, shoot. Now I'm super excited to work with Steam whenever I end up making a game. Yeah, definitely. The only difficult part about... Look at me, I just died in my own game. The only difficult part about Steam is getting started, because in order to get a game on Steam, you need to have a business, or you need to have some kind of incorporated entity, I think. And you need to pay a fine to get started. I think it's $100. And using the Steam client software to upload your builds is tricky the first time you do it. I would say setup for Steam is a little hard. Getting started with Steam is hard, but once you're started, I am so impressed with how smooth and good everything is. But I could understand someone having a hard time at first, because there are some weird aspects of it too. Have a good one. Thanks for stopping in, Wolf. Appreciate you being here. Okay, I'm gonna try this fight again because I died last time. You mean like have a publisher? Sorry, I don't. In response to what? I don't have a publisher, and I don't plan to have one either. I imagine, I actually don't really know. So if anyone out there has a publisher for their games, I'm just curious, what was the motivation behind getting that publisher? Because for me, I have to imagine that the biggest motivator to get a publisher is money. I imagine that a publisher being able to pay your bills for you while the development is going on is a very important aspect for a lot of people, just because if you're working full-time on a game, you're not making any money doing that. So a publisher being able to pay your bills for you is very attractive. But if that's the case, I worry that people are going to get into bad business deals because they're reliant on that income. Publishers can easily betray you. Well, they can betray you if you get yourself into a bad deal. And translation, that makes sense. Yeah, publishers can get you connections too. But publishers will betray you if you walk into a bad business deal. Publishers aren't inherently bad or good, but I think a lot of people go into publishers with a sense of desperation. Because I talked about this before, how let's say that you're someone out there and you're working on a game and it's going to take you 2 years to create this game full time, but you don't have the money to sustain yourself during creation or sustain your team. Let's say it's a team of 3 people or something like that. What you would do, or what you could do, is you could go to a publisher and say, hey, we have this game, but we don't have the money to create it. Will you fund it? And then we'll give you royalties. That's kind of, I think that's what a lot of people go into publishers looking to do, because it costs money to make games. That's the sad truth. And if you go into one of those meetings with the expectation that you're going to say yes, because this is the scary thing that people get themselves into. If the options are, I get a publisher, or the game doesn't get made, if you put yourself in that scenario, then you're going to just be desperate for any publisher. And a publisher who smells desperation is going to screw you over. And if you sign a bad business deal, is that the publisher's fault, or is that your fault? Because if you're desperate enough to sign a bad deal, that says more about you than it does about the publisher. Also, it's domain knowledge. Yeah, the publishers offer more than just money. I just think money is the most common thing. And I think money is what leads to people getting screwed over. Because if all that the publisher is doing is providing localization and providing a bit of tech support or a bit of marketing, if that's all that they're doing, then they're probably not going to be taking 80% of your revenue. And if they are, then why are they your publisher? You don't need them. I imagine instead what happens is the publisher is paying for development. And if the publisher is paying for development, then they deserve to reap the rewards of that development. I know that sounds bad. It feels bad knowing that you created this game and then some other company is just taking all that money. But really, they took a chance on you. Imagine you're in the place of a publisher too, and you're trying to figure out games. What games do I want to invest my money in? Which game is most likely to return a profit? How many games do they put money in that doesn't return any profit at all? How many games never finish, or they release and no one plays them? I imagine that's something that happens a lot with publishers, where they're the ones that get screwed over more than ever because they put money into game projects that never come to fruition. They never get finished. And in that case, it's the developers that are screwing over the publishers. So the publishers are the ones taking the financial risks on these projects. It makes sense that they get the financial gain from the outcome. I think that's kind of just the way it goes. So if you go into your publisher with that expectation that they are going to be paying for it, you can expect that they are going to be recouping all of the revenue too, because they paid for it. I think that they deserve it. So for my game, I'm self-published. There's no publisher involved. I'm paying for everything myself out of pocket, and that's expensive sometimes, but it is worth every dollar. Not having to have someone breathing down my back and not having a publisher taking all my profits. That's something that I didn't want. Anubis, Moonshire Monday on your birthday. Awesome. Wow, awesome. Happy birthday. So that's my thoughts on publishers, is that if someone gets screwed over by a publisher, that tells me that they don't know how to read their contracts, or they were so desperate that they just went with whatever they could get. And whose fault is that? It's not the publisher's fault. Okay, moving on to the next fight. It's funny, I died in that fight last time, and then this time I didn't take any damage at all. Or did I? I forgot to plant the seed. I should have planted the seed. Oh, the sunflower looks so much better now that it's animated. I know it's subtle, it's barely moving, but before it was stiff and motionless, and now it, like, you can move it around. It's so nice. Oh, actually, I think there's a bug with the sunflowers. I think you can chop them down. You can. I don't want that to happen. Let's make it so that certain plants are unchoppable. What engine is this? This is Love 2D. Plant. I love how Pirate Software also said the same speech about publishers as well. Yeah, that makes sense. I would love to hear his take on publishers too. Let's see. So I'm trying. This is some old code here. Cut. Oh, there's a cuttable property. I already did this. But it's not used anywhere. So I have this property called cuttable, but I never implemented it. Or maybe I did. Cuttable, hitbox. Actually, I think it does work. So I just need to set sunflower to not cuttable. Sunflower. I'm gonna say plant.cuttable equals false. Okay, so I think that just adding that alone is going to fix that problem. This is a different save file. I need to go back to my other one. Okay, so... Okay, good. I can't chop down the sunflower anymore. I don't want people to chop down the sunflower. It's too pretty. You can chop down things like the grass or the little flowers like that, but sunflowers, off limits. How dare you chop down a pretty sunflower. If you don't have any following and don't want to do marketing, publishers are a great tool. I mean, I'm totally with you that publishers have the capability of offering benefits beyond just money. But if all that the publisher is doing is marketing, then they're not going to be taking 80% of your revenue. People talk about bad publisher deals, and they're talking about how the publisher takes like 90% of all their profits. That's the bad publishing deals that we're talking about. We're not talking about the ones where it's like, I give you 20% and you market the game for me. That's fine. We're talking about the people that get really crappy deals, and they get really crappy deals because the publisher is doing a lot more than just marketing. And I imagine every publishing contract is different from person to person, from project to project, and from company to company. So, and also, I've never had a contract with a publisher. I don't know what I'm talking about. I just know how contracts work, and I know that you don't need to sign a contract. If you don't like the deal that they're giving you, then you just don't sign it. I don't feel sorry for anyone that has a bad contract because they signed it. And also, if they signed it, they signed it out of desperation, it sounds like the game wouldn't have been created without the publisher then. Dramatic cutscene for a single blue slime. I did that because this is supposed to be the first time you see one. Which engine? This is called Love 2D. Oh, I don't have any seeds. Oh, darn. I need to go get more seeds. I guess I don't need to. I can come back later. You missed the cutscene for the single... It wasn't anything. It was like a 2-second scene of a slime falling from the sky. Oh, I didn't want to show this because... Well, because I'm still working on these sea mines up here. They don't look quite right. I need to adjust them. I have Ellie working on a different version of them. Oh, come on. That was weird. Are you not able to make this? Oh, you are. You are. You just need a running start. Any need for freelancers? Not at the moment. But I appreciate the interest. What about them doesn't look right to you? I'll talk about it in a second. 1 second. I'm loving the axe. The axe is really satisfying to use. Okay, so let me talk about the sea mines. So over here, the idea behind this little area is that you go over here and you can get the boomerang. And the boomerang just hits at a distance. And then you can use the boomerang to hit the sea mines to explode them. And like, if I wanted to adjust this sprite here to fit the scene better, the color scheme would need to be updated. It kind of looks a little bit off. Then I would need to change the bottom border of it to add more of a ripple effect. And then finally, I don't know, it just doesn't fit the vibe right. So Ellie's working on a different version of it. You really like the heart particles that shoot out of the enemies? Yeah, I like them too. Thank you. I got that idea from this old game called Twinson's Adventure, I think. And all it was is just that if your attack did 1 damage and then 1 heart flew off. And I liked it. I thought it was cool. Is there any mini-map in the game? There is a map that shows the overworld. It's not... It's so incomplete. Man, there's so much incomplete junk in this game. But there's no mini-map. There's just like an overworld map that it still has the outline of all these little maps though. Is there sound effects? Yeah, they're playing right now, but they're quiet. In fact, I'll turn them up. Why not? Whoops. Actually, they're quiet because my audio is quiet, I think. Okay, I think you can hear that a little bit better now. The problem is the sound effects have to compete with the Kingdom Hearts music. Boomerang's hard to use. Part of what I'm trying to do with the weapons is make it so that every weapon is equally viable. I don't really want there to be one weapon that's just like better than all the other ones, or each one has like pros and cons. Maybe where different scenarios or different enemy types are like it's particularly good against specific ones. Hard but high skill ceiling, yeah. I like people having a lot of choices. And the problem with like one weapon being better than all the other ones is that there's no choice anymore. You just choose the best weapon. But if like the spear is good and the boomerang's good and the axe is good and the greatsword is, if everything's good, then it'll be fun being able to choose whatever you like the most. What is your opinion on using non-coding engines and instead focusing the time on art assets? Non-coding engines are perfectly fine. Something like Game Maker or Construct, I think is perfectly good. If you're interested in making games, I'd say that's an awesome place to start. Right now, it looks like the mine is just floating above the water. Yeah, that's part of the thing. So the mine is just floating above, or there's no ripple. But if I go to say surface C4, look at these boats. Whoops. These boats are much better in terms of like being on the water. Excuse me. There's a little ripple effect on the bottom, and it blends into the water more nicely, and there's less. It's less harsh. Excuse me, man. I'm sorry. I think I'm approaching the end of stream. It's been a little over 2 hours, but if there's any like wrap-up questions before the end, I'd be happy to answer those. Yeah, excuse me, I'm getting stuffed up. I think I've just been talking too much. There is fun in using underrated weapons in games. I totally agree. But like, it also feels bad if you feel like you're handicapping yourself by using a bad weapon, like that. There's some fun to that, but it feels better when a weapon is just slept on, but it's still good. Today was such a great stream. Thank you, Adele. Appreciate that. Yeah, I think this one went well too. I still have some work with my stuttering. I'm doing better though, especially at the start of the stream. I was doing a lot better at the start. I think my main problem is just that I talk too fast and I lose my train of thought a lot. I lose my train of thought a lot, and then I'm reading chat constantly and playing a game at the same time and listening to music. So all those things combined, like sometimes my brain just drifts off into a different direction while I'm talking. But besides that, I think that otherwise I think I do generally pretty good on stream. But yeah, I think that I'm gonna wrap up stream for today. I have one. How much will the game be, you think? Probably about $10 USD. My goal is to go for $10, but that's not final. I don't know for sure really what I'm gonna be charging. Would you ever play other games on stream? Yeah, I would do that. I think what I'm gonna do is treat Twitch more for games that I'm playing, and then treat YouTube more for like dev streams like this. But I'm not quite sure. I could see it going both ways. But yeah, I'm gonna end stream for today. Thank you all so much for being here for the very first stream of 2024. It went very well. We had a lot of people chatting. Thank you so much. Oh, you are been listening recently? Yeah, sorry, I misread that. I've just been listening really. I'm multitasking. Yeah, I try to multitask, but there's a reason why I don't do too much like development work on. Did I say 2024? Oh my gosh, what if I said 2024? It'd be cool if I could do development on stream, but right now I'm kind of just like playing and answering questions because I get so distracted I lose track of what I'm even talking about. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today. Thank you so much for being here, guys. I will be back next week for another Moonshire Monday. You don't know which major to take? I'm a big fan of engineering, computer science. Just pick a major where you can get a job out of college with just the 4-year degree. Yeah, I said 2024. Sorry. 2025. 2025 is the year of Moonshire. Moonshire Monday. 2025 every single Monday. Be back again, 11 a.m. CT. Bye, everyone.